This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Scott Howell.
Hello, good neighbors, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast, brought to you by the Friends and Neighbors Group of the greater Chattanooga area, including Cleveland and Dalton and everywhere in between. Again, my name is Scott Howell, and I'm your host. For all you first-time listeners out there that might be wondering, the purpose of the Good Neighbor Podcast is designed to bring awareness to the residents of our communities regarding locally owned and or operated businesses and practices in, like I said, the entire Chattanooga area, from everywhere from Cleveland to Dalton and all around. You know, small local businesses are the backbone of our communities, and they really need our support. And joining me today is our good neighbor, Dr. Erin Westner of the Pelvic Method, a physical therapy practice right here in Chattanooga. Dr. Erin, it's wonderful to meet you today. Thanks for being a special guest today on the Good Neighbor Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Scott. I'm excited to kind of chat
me
about
too.
all the things.
Yeah, ever since I saw your website, before I pressed record, I was telling you, when I saw your website, I was like, wow, I didn't know this was a thing, just somebody focusing on pelvic issues, and not only just for women, but I found out for men too. So I really want to hear all about it. But before we jump into the business side, would you like to share anything personal about yourself or your family, maybe?
Sure. Yeah. So I am originally from Batavia, Ohio, which is up around Cincinnati. And I moved down here to pursue the passion of pelvic health. So I started my career up there, and I took a job with another company they moved me down to Tennessee, basically. I had no idea about Chattanooga, really, except for that it was the pass through to get to Florida.
Right.
From Cincinnati. But, and when I got here, I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is where I need to be. And so, so I've been here for going on 10 years now, actually 10 years as of January. And I ended up meeting my lovely husband here, and we have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter now. So,
well, congratulations. That sounds like a success story if we just stopped right there.
Yeah, exactly. Fell in love with the city and the people and the person.
And now you got a 2-year-old you love more than life itself.
More than anything. Right? Yes.
Well, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that you came here for the Pelvic Method. So I tell you what I'd like for you to do. A couple of questions I had lined up for was asking you to talk to me about the Pelvic Method and also to tell me about your journey. So if you don't care, just I'm going to put both those out to you, and you just kind of take your time and answer both those questions.
Sure. Yeah. So pelvic floor issues are, just to kind of round that out a little bit, it has a lot to do with the bowel issues, bladder issues, or like pregnancy. It also has pain in the pelvic region or reproductive organs, or your, like I said, bowel or bladder. So it kind of encompasses more of that area and that specific stuff. But so I fell in love with it actually when I was a student. I actually went into PT school saying, I'm going to do pediatrics. This is what I'm going to do. And was so excited about that. And my professor actually reached out to me, and she was like, Erin, I really think you could do this and do this well. Like, I think you have that personality that could really go places in this field. And I'm like, I was like, no, I don't really think that's for me. But I ended up applying and going to a residency program or like a clinical rotation at the University of Michigan, from my school to that school, and started learning about it. And I have 2 patients from that experience. So again, this is a long time ago, since 2011. So it's been a long time. Or actually 2011. Anyway, but so those 2 patients really stood out to me. And there was a 60-year-old woman who said, my husband and my son are the two funniest people I know, but I cannot go to dinner or lunch or anything without a change of clothes, wearing pens, and or we have to usually get it to go because I soak my pants.
Oh, wow.
When I laugh. She's like, I love them to death. And it's just they're so funny, but I can't go and do anything that we want to do without bringing clothes. And she's like, oh, and that's just, I'm 60, I'm menopausal, I had a kid, and that's just how it is. And I'm like, actually, how about we change that? And we started changing small changes, but like the biggest moment, she came on a day that was not her appointment. And if the history of pelvic floor therapy is that we're always kind of like stuck down a hallway in a corner in a closet. And so down the hallway, across the corner, but I was like, I happened to be down the hallway and like my door was right there at the end of the hallway. And this is again as a student, and she was in the big open gym area where the rest of physical therapy is. And she screams, I didn't pee my pants. Like I just get chills every time I talk about it, because like it's just like how wonderful to change somebody's life in such a personal and important way. And from that kind of wrote my story. From then on, I worked really hard to get more training in this and develop skills, and continue to do so, obviously. But yeah, so I took a job in the hospital setting and worked with mother-baby unit for high-risk women, put on bed rest. So I had that experience, and then I also did all kinds of things there, like wound care, ICU, but like all the things, I wasn't quite all the way in pelvic floor therapy like I wanted to be. And so I kept working and kept studying and doing some more coursework, and finally took a job with another company. And they moved me to Memphis originally for some training. And then they were like, how about Chattanooga? And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
So that's how I got to Chattanooga, was through another company. And I never really thought or wanted to open up my own clinic. I did administrative. I love teaching. I love talking about what I do. I love teaching people. I love teaching other therapists, doctors, everybody about what we do and how we can help, because it is so impactful in people's lives. To talk about and I get to talk about sex and pooping and peeing and all the things. I hope that's okay to say sex on this podcast. But yeah, it is the most fun job, and I love chatting about it. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. That's and when you said that about that lady, screaming out when she saw you, that anybody that didn't know her story and heard her might have thought, oh my goodness, what is she
talking about?
But that was important for her. That was like a major event for her.
Yeah, she got to go to dinner with her husband and son, who came back from college, and like she had been peeing since he was born, and he was in college. So that length of time, just
I that's never been my personal issue, but I have a friend that was, and her husband is, like you said, he is hilarious. I mean, he just make you laugh with just at a one sentence, and she had a major problem with that. So I could see where that would be a big thing in that lady's life for that to happen. And and to think you get to talk about all these issues, and you don't even have to blush when you talk about them,
I know. That's one thing I don't do. I don't have filters anymore.
Well, remember that if I ever go out to dinner with you and your husband, I'll remember that you don't have filters.
Yeah. My husband has filters, and he makes me have a filter.
That is so funny. So tell me though, because like I said, when I saw your website, I didn't know that this was a practice. I didn't know this was, a carved out part of physical therapy. So what are some of the myths misconceptions that sometimes people have when they come to you the first time?
That is a great question. So most people are scared to come in because they don't really know what to expect because it's dealing with very private areas.
Right.
And so the myth that you have to live with leakage for men and women is not the case. The myth that, oh, I'm just getting older. This is what happens when you get older, like dryness or erectile dysfunction, or which erectile dysfunction does have an age component to it, but like there's still like some muscle component and some blood flow, nerve stuff that goes on with that. So it's really important to encompass all of those things. But yeah, so there's like, oh, this has been going on for 30 plus years. There's no way I can get better quickly. Or like, this is a chronic disease issue. Like we have people who have chronic prostatitis for men, or we have endometriosis for women, or we have interstitial cystitis for both men and women. And those are like disease process things that people are like, well, I can't really get help for that. That's not a physical therapy thing. That's a medical, like I need medications, I need muscle relaxers, I need this and that, and that's the only thing that's going to help me. And that's actually not true. We actually make huge progress with these patients and give them their life back. Like that's why we do what we do, to give them their life back.
Wow.
So, it's very powerful.
I mean, Dr. Erin, that's life-changing in many ways for so many people because, I mean, that you hear that a lot, I'm just getting older. This happens, that happens. But when you said it, sometimes it's muscular. I never heard that before. That's so wow. That's it's so interesting. I'm so glad we got you on the show to talk about this. But I tell you what, I don't want to talk all business because I know Dr. Erin is not all business. She does have passion and care. I can hear it in her voice. I see it. I see it on her face. Y'all can't see her expressions, but I see it. I see how that her smile turns serious when she talks about some things. For just a moment, let's step out of the office. So you've got a husband, you've got a 2-year-old. So tell me, what does Dr. Erin and her family do for fun when you're not into practice?
Oh, yeah. So actually we are kind of animal crazy people. So we love going to aquariums and zoos, and we have traveled to many cities to do that. We love baseball games, and we like outdoors. We're not like, I wouldn't say we're super outdoorsy. Like my husband is a golfer, like that's his outdoors kind of thing. And I like to hike, but like that's taking a nice walk on Sunday. But like I'm not a rock climber or anything like that. But I do love being outside regardless.
Yeah, me too. I love getting out, walking in nature and enjoying it. I'm a waterfall chaser. I love to go find them waterfalls. Yeah.
Yes. That's my favorite thing too.
Yeah. I love to go find them waterfalls, especially the hidden ones that nobody knows about on the map.
Oh, you're going to have to tell me. You have to divulge all your secrets now.
Clue in on some of these. That's a whole nother podcast, Dr. Erin.
Right.
So, you said you moved around a lot, and I've had to in my career as well. Move to a place where you don't know anybody and kind of start over. And things in life sometimes kind of throw curveballs and present challenges. Could you describe maybe one hardship or life challenge that you went through that now that you look back and you came through it, you say, wow, I'm a better and stronger person for what I went through?
I think there's a couple things probably that led me to where I am. I attribute it to some family history of trauma and sexual abuse as a child, and my cousins, and having a family history of that stuff. Okay. And so I think it's just trying to be there to help those people. Because it's the misconception is that everybody that had sexual trauma or any kind of emotional trauma or even the alcoholic parent is also another story that we hear a lot. But that not everybody that has that experience has pain or issues, but also everybody that has these issues like pain or dysfunction, I guess, if you will, or just issues with bowel, bladder, don't have that background either. So there's this misconception that just because you had trauma, you have these issues, and just because you have these issues, you must have had trauma. Yeah. So I want to clear that air. That's not really how that works, but there is a high prevalence of people who have trauma in their past or their family history that do suffer with issues. So there is that. And so helping that population out, I feel like I'm helping family members that never got help. Is kind of like that deeper side of things. Yeah. And then from like a professional standpoint, I think like I definitely felt like I got a lot of pushback in doing the way we do things now here in the Pelvic Method. It was really difficult to treat patients the way we wanted them to be treated, because in the typical physical therapy outpatient setting, it's kind of for lack of better terms, turn and burn kind of thing, where you just have to see high volume. And that's kind of how healthcare in general is getting, both with your doctor. I'm sure you guys could feel it in your doctor's offices too, where you see 8 to 10 minutes of your doctor and then they're on to the next. And you don't just get that quality time anymore. And so getting a lot of pushback and getting a lot of, like overcoming some administrative top down, just feeling restricted in what I was doing. And then opening up my practice. Actually, my husband is the one that encouraged me, because I never wanted to open up a practice. It's a lot of work having your own practice. Like sure it is not for the faint of heart, but we love what we do and we thrive, and it's been wonderful. So we're coming up on 4 years right now in practice. But my husband was like, I don't know why you're doing this for somebody else. Like, you are not happy in what you're doing. You come home, you're not the same person that I met, earlier. You're getting burnt out and you're just not a happy camper. And now my husband says that I come home with a smile on my face and excited. He's like, you have a ton of work you're doing all the time, but you're happy. And I love to see you happy. You actually care about what you're doing now.
Yeah. What's your husband's name?
Chris.
Kudos, Chris. Kudos. Yes. You called it.
He did.
You called it. All right.
He did. He knows me pretty darn well. I hate to admit it, but
hey, better him than a lot of people. At least somebody that cares about you knows you're right. Not taking advantage of you.
Very, very true.
I've said this before on previous podcasts. If you watch very many podcasts where I'm interviewing a lady who's got her own practice business and she's successful, I say this a lot. I was raised by a single mother, so I guess that's probably a little bit of why I'm this way. But I'm a big fan of successful women. I just think my mother struggled a lot when I was a child. Yeah. She struggled, and I saw those struggles. And so when I see a lady out there succeeding, I'm so happy for them. I really am. And so I just give you big props for that. If there was one thing, Dr. Erin, that you wish that our listeners knew about Dr. Erin and the Pelvic Method that they probably wouldn't know if you didn't tell them, and you like to shout it from the rooftops here on the Good Neighbor podcast, what would that be?
So one thing that about the Pelvic Method, you said, or about me?
Well, about you and your practice that they probably wouldn't know unless you shared it with them. What would that be?
Yeah. So our setting is actually, and I know you could probably see a little bit, it's a house setting. So we make everything super comfortable, and it's not something like people walk in and they go, oh, wow, this is not what I expected at all. And I pride myself in that, because I want you to feel at home, because these are private issues. These are things that we're going to chit chat about, and we're going to talk in depth about all of the things going on with your private life and the toilet, all the things. So, I don't want you to sit and feel like you're in a clinical, like cold doctor's office and it's just very sterile. That's not the environment that is conducive to opening up and talking about these things and feeling comfortable. So I actually had a patient last week. She came in the office because this is my office. I have a treatment table here too, but she came in the office. There's a big couch. She took her shoes off, sat on the couch cross-legged, and just got comfortable and just ready to go. And I was like, that's it. That's the feeling I want people to do. It's like, this is your girlfriend talking to you. This is your best friend. We're going to just get to the nitty-gritty of what's going on. Yeah. So that's what I want people to know.
We're going to get down and dirty. And
down and dirty.
Yeah. Shoes off and stay a while, right?
Because I can spend the time. That's the thing, is I can spend the time with these patients now.
Yes.
And we do
That's
everything.
Important.
Yeah.
It's important. I remember one of the first times I had to go see a specialist. That's what I felt. I felt like I was just, my personal doctor is awesome. She makes us feel like we're the only patient that she has all day, but
that's a wonderful skill. Yeah.
Yeah. That specialist, it was like, I felt like she come in the door, walking out the door, and no doubt she was just pressured that way because her lobby was full, full. Uh-huh. And, but it made me want to find a different specialist, It probably wasn't her fault, but it made me want to find somewhere else to go where they felt like they cared. So I applaud you for making a relaxing setting like that people can come in and feel like they're at home, take their shoes off, stay a while, when you said like your girlfriend, I'm sure that to a lady that comes in and feels that comfortable with you, and a guy that comes in feels like you come to see his sister, whatever, just somebody of that really close that you can talk to. That's amazing. So, well, Dr. Erin, I know everybody's probably saying, hey, how do I get in touch with this girl? How do I find out more about her? So tell us online and offline, people find the ways that people can find you or contact you or whatever.
Yeah. So our website is www.thepelvicmethod.com. And our front desk, Cheryl, is amazing, and she's waiting a call. She loves to chat with people about what's going on and how we can help them. She loves bragging on us therapists. But that phone number is 423-825-9340. And then info@thepelvicmethod.com if you would rather email for the time being. So. Mm-hmm.
Did you mention social media? Did you mention?
Oh yeah, social media @the_pelvic method. So we're on Facebook and Instagram. We don't have anything else yet. I'm not a huge social media person, but we're there.
There you go. Well, that's good enough. Facebook and Instagram. That's a two good places to hang out, find out more about you. So, well, this has been great. I appreciate so much you sharing all this with us. And thank you for being on the Good Neighbor podcast with us today.
Yes, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been
my
fun.
pleasure. My pleasure. And to all the good neighbors of the Cleveland and Chattanooga and Dalton area and everywhere in between, after meeting Dr. Erin and learning more about the pelvic method, I know that she hopes that you'll take a moment to consider all she has to offer. Go to Facebook and Instagram and look and see what she has available there, the information. And as she was talking about all the things that can happen to our body, and we blame it on age or we blame it on this and that, but there might be a way that she could help with that. There might be through her practice, might be a method that she could strengthen a part of our bodies to help us with different things, men and women. To me, this is exciting news to find out, because so many things we just kind of play off, or like she said, we think, oh, let's just go find a pill and maybe it'll fix it, and it don't. These are things maybe that she could help us with, that she could, provide us with a consultation and at least point us in the right direction. And hey, it's just worth a try. That's the way I look at it. It's worth a try. If she can help us, wonderful. If she can't, at least we know we tried. But if we don't do anything, we never will know, will we? So reach out to Dr. Erin and talk to her about your issues and see what she tells you about it. Before ending this episode, I'd like to thank you all, the listeners, for taking the time out of your busy day to visit with us at the Good Neighbor Podcast. And always remember to support the locally owned and or operated businesses in the whole greater Chattanooga area. I wish I could mention every little community where our businesses and our practices are located, because there's so many good people out there that we need to be supporting. This is Scott Howell with the Friends and Neighbors Group. Everyone go out and make this a remarkable day.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpcleveland.com. That's gnpcleveland.com or call 423-380-1984.